on HAPS specifically. This is the last time that we're going to be live on Quinn's account, my account. We actually have a Self-Love Exodus account. So for more of me and Hallie, if you're on HAPS, please make sure you follow Self-Love Exodus for more of our weekly talks. So with that said, we're on another episode of Self-Love Exodus Live, where we talk about anything related to the journey of our own self-love exoduses. And what came up in our conversation today was, what was it? You were talking about the podcast that you listened to, me and Happy created, and then we were talking about just, what was it? Things to unblock our flow. And
what our main filtering systems are for meeting new people that we potentially might want to enter a relationship with, when we're trying to figure out that, what are our filters, and how we're putting it here is what are our green lights?
Yes.
Keep going.
Yes, keep going. This is looking good so far, right? And some of us might feel that, but then we get blindsided. So we're going to just bring a full-on, authentic, real, raw discussion from our own experiences and then what's coming up for us. So with you, Hallie, as far as the topic of what are your green lights, because it's making me think of we always talk about red flags, right? Mm-hmm. So what's coming up for you when you think of green lights and the red light, I guess, the green and red, or the yellow,
or the yellow,
the yellow, maybe it's leading to the yellow.
With caution.
Yes. Because it could go either way, right? When you're the cautionary.
Yeah. Well, I think that there are two things that are standing out to me right now for green lights, and two loud things. The first one, and you and I were talking about this, is the person's ability and capacity to hold space. So someone's ability to listen, someone's ability to empathize, someone's ability to respond compassionately, someone's ability to have a response to what you are saying and what you are sharing, someone's ability to ask meaningful questions. All of those kinds of things that someone can hear you, receive you, respond to you. That's super huge. And it's it's heart stuff, right? It's stuff that comes from a cultivated heart, a clean and clear heart that has done some work and is in the process of continuing to do that work. So that's another thing, right? Someone who's in their healing,
yes,
on their growth journey, and that's a priority for themselves, that they make time for that they have their practices, they have their teachers that they tune into, they have their things that they do for upkeep.
Yes.
And then the other thing that I'm feeling is a green light for me is I really need to feel inspired by the person and the choices that they're making and the contribution that they're making and what they're doing with their life, what they're doing with their energy, what they're giving to the world. That's so important to me. If I'm not inspired by them, then I don't feel my own potential to grow by being close to them. So, if they're still trying to figure themselves out, we all are, but they're not activated in a sense of mission or purpose or dedication, they're not being part of the solution in this dire point of humanity,
right?
Where we all need to be being part of a solution, to heal the planet and to heal each other and to heal ourselves. Then I'm not going to be inspired, and then that's not going to be a green light for me.
Wow, I feel so in tune with everything that you just said. From really I like what you said about, first of all, do they have space for me? Right? And if they're not on their own healing journey, they don't have their own releasing practices and self-love growth journey. And being that, then how is that showing to me that they have the space for me to hold who I am when I express something, especially when there's concern and when you need to express something that's more on the heavier, deeper side, right? I would say that's the true tester right there. And it's almost how can we create, or how can we bring up something to see how they receive it so that we can get that insight, okay, I can see where their space is. So this is more heading towards the yellow now. Okay, let's just have some more interactions with this person to see if it's leaning more towards the red light or the green light.
Yeah.
So you see how aware we need to be, like,
and how it takes time
yes.
for these things to unveil and reveal.
Right? And like, and see, and with the awareness thing, would you say like we need to be so aware with ourselves so that we can catch these things that other people are doing?
Yeah.
We'll have more insight with other people when we're constantly tuning into ourselves and creating our own space and to see what maybe we have some green lights, maybe you have some red lights, maybe we have some yellow lights, right? And this is where it gets tricky because let's just say two people are in the yellow-red light with their own personal lives, and with them, you can see where that goes. I mean, I could just think of my own personal life where I wasn't on my growth journey, right? Like some of the things that are green light for you, like looking back into my life, I definitely wasn't on the self-love journey. I can't even recall asking these deep, more meaningful questions to people. It wasn't the space that I was in. So no wonder I got into these relationships that were more surfacey and where I did experience more being blindsided,
right? Where
it did look good in the beginning. And then I found out, oh, they're not as deep. And the thing is, I wasn't even deep with myself at times. But we don't see that in that way. So we miss it completely.
The self-awareness piece is so huge. I was telling Quinn that like just very recently, within the past couple of weeks, I let go of one of my habits, one of my little numbing habits, which was to like smoke a little weed every night. Just like 1 or 2 hits off the pipe, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a way that I transitioned from my worker mode to kind of my evening chill mode. But it was an addiction. My body craved it. It was a bit of a dependency. I had a habit of it. And it was satisfying for a couple of minutes. And then I was kind of stoned. And then that prevented me from doing things that I really actually like to do in the evenings, like read, like follow a recipe in order to meal prep, you know, like kind of stay organized in my life, in my mind. And it also sometimes really opens me up creatively, which is how I built a crutch around it, because being creatively inspired is like my favorite thing to feel. And so I had an association between creativity and marijuana. And so do I want to date someone who has a dependency on a substance and has to like partake in it every single day in order to feel a certain way? No, I don't. So I had to check my own behavior with that, you know? I still have a coffee addiction. I drink a cup of coffee every day. That might be next. It's not right now. One thing at a time.
Yes, one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
Rudy says, I still haven't had a soda since I stopped last week on Wednesday, right? That is a great example of checking what would be like a red flag to you that you're doing.
Your own red flag for your own self, for your own progress, for your own healing. Like, where are we getting in our own way?
Oh, right? Like, I love this. Like, okay, as we're talking about like what's right now. So when you meet somebody with like similar behaviors, you're already accepting that. You're not seeing that as a red because you haven't acknowledged that it's a red for you.
Yeah. And there is a numbing. It's a numbing thing, right? It like numbs. There's an emotional numbing that comes from anything that we reach for instant gratification, for that quick fix, to shift us out of our present moment reality, right? We're escaping ourselves. We're escaping our bodies. We're escaping some feeling that we don't want to feel. And so if that's built into your habit, and then you're trying to connect intimately and romantically and emotionally with another person, and that's built into their habit, there's going to be a disconnect. There's going to be pain. There's going to be a lack of communication, even just like in an energetic way, you know? So it's like, if you want depth, if you want a deep connection, if you want true intimacy, you really have to look at where you go to instant gratification and like take those on one by one.
Wow. You just said it all right there, right? Like, so there's this thing where we're looking at what we crave and then like checking with ourselves, like, oh, wait a minute, like, is this healthy? Because that's what I'm going to be attracting. And everyone that's watching right now, you can take like a timeline and your experiences and you can see how that is true for you. Like, oh, wow, I actually held some behaviors that they had, right? And there might be some good qualities that you were attracted to that you have too, right? So let's acknowledge that.
Goes both ways.
Goes both ways. And it's very, very powerful to like really be acknowledging this like red, yellow, green light. I love it so much. Yeah, as far as like my green lights, like you said so many, like my green light is like, okay, this person, let's talk about that. Like we always talk about this too. Like, oh yeah, they have to be on their growth journey. Like I want someone to grow with, right? But what is proof that they are growing? Like where is the proof? So like what's coming up to my mind right now is like, what are some good questions to start guiding this conversation there? Right? Because then you're meeting each other like, hey, and maybe a little comment on the weather. That's always easy to grab. That this person just came from work. Okay, anything from work. And then where do you go, right? Where it gets into like, okay, let's get into like what we're truly about. Because people can just say that they're about this and that. Oh, cool. And then the gap happens. So why is that? So a question that's coming for me is like questions around lifestyle or like what, like for me right now it's like, okay, so like I'm curious, we're meeting for the first time, like I thought it would be a good idea to talk about like what we're really about right now, like from the day to day. For an example, like has there been like a win that you experienced recently and that can give you an idea what they even consider as a win in their life?
Yeah,
like for an example, if their wins are always about work, where's the investment in the emotional wins? Where's the investments in like this, like the moments that you feel spiritually so proud?
Yeah.
Like how you shared with me today about how you got rid of you asked a friend to take away your pipe. That's like to me, that's like an emotional win, a spiritual win, and also like a mental win. Cause you're like, I am disciplined enough to live without this and give it to my friend.
And then what happened was the next day, he sent me a picture of it shattered on the ground. I had this beautiful water bong that I spent like a couple hundo on, locally handmade, gorgeous. And yeah, he sent me a picture of it shattered on the ground because it had dropped. And he was like, felt really bad. Like, oh no, I'll buy you a new one. I was like, don't.
You're like,
we don't have to do this. This is like the universe reinforcing what I already know to be true, which is that this doesn't need to be part of my like everyday lifestyle anymore.
Yes. Oh, right. So powerful. So powerful. Let's see. Oh, someone says, this is a live broadcast. This is a live broadcast. Hi. Oh, someone from HAPS is saying, are we celebrating love today?
Every day.
Every day. It doesn't seem like they can see the comments. No, yes, we can see it. We're just on a roll with our talk. Okay, we're on a roll talk. So thank you for being here. Hey, everyone who's watching through Facebook or HAPS. But yeah, we're talking about relationships. And yeah, are we talking about love? Well, love is a part of this because are we loving ourselves? Meaning, are we doing what we say what we're about? We say we're about growth. We say we're about the self-love healing journey. Well, wouldn't that mean that you're doing something every day you're about it? We have this idea of what we would like to be about, but then is in our actions. So yeah, back to kind of like how you can, good questions to segue a conversation from meeting someone for the first time where it's still kind of like surfacey to like somewhere deeper where you're getting an insight of what their day-to-day thing is. And wins, I go to wins. I go to wins all the time. Like, what's been a win in their life?
For the win.
What way? Yeah, like, are they going to share something about work? Or and you can get an insight what's really important to them right now.
Yeah, what they value.
What they value, and then you can see how would that would match up with yours.
Aligns with what you value. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, and if you have the space for this conversation, I'd say like the conversation could flow from there based on what they say. And for me, I can pick up indicators. Okay, it seems a little uncomfortable when I kind of try to talk about this other area. So maybe so you're kind of already feeling that. And so you just remain on this certain level with them. And then you know that information for yourself, and maybe you'll be able to make a decision already just in the beginning of meeting them.
That's such a good point. Your state of comfort It tells you so much. How comfortable are you with this person? How comfortable are you when you share something really personal? Was that comfortable for you? Yes. Or was that uncomfortable for you? Was that held kindly?
Yes.
Was that held safely? Did they just kind of not really respond? Did you feel shut down after you shared? Did you kind of want to like back up? If you want to back up, listen to that. It's not so safe. And if it's not so safe, then, you know, the intimacy, the physical intimacy that creates all of the hormones and chemicals that makes us get really freaking attached should probably not be happening, you know? Is if our emotional sharing doesn't feel like it is being received, you know?
Yeah.
Then please don't make out and like please don't have sex.
See, this is what we miss. We think, oh no, let's just give them another chance, which you can to really confirm, like, okay, they really are on this level. They really are right here, and I can't seem to go emotionally deep with them, or like what you know that's a green light for you, because that's where it's fulfilling to connect here on this deeper level.
Yeah.
Someone asked, hello there, what's your take on open relationships? Me and my partner actually talked about this, you know. My take on open relationships is, how would I say it? It is dependent on the individual if it works out for them or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you say open relationships, are you talking about, I have a trouble saying this word,
polyamory.
Polyamory. Like for an example, I know someone who was practicing polyamory and they ended up not doing it anymore because it was too tiring. Right? There's a lot of people involved, and then they saw that they weren't able to like commit to everybody. So then now they're in a that relationship, and it's working. It's working for them. So you see, like, it really depends. And like what's coming up for me is, do you have the space to occupy, for an example, 2 relationships at the same time? Right? Like, and only you know how you're feeling. Are you losing yourself? Are you more connected to yourself more than ever? Because these are 2 actually very healthy relationships that you're inviting into your life. So that is my take on it. What about for you with open relationships?
I feel similarly. I feel like I think that one relationship in itself is a lot of work already, in terms of anything in our life that we want to really flourish is going to require an investment of energy. And so investing energy in one person is already a lot. If you're also investing in your self-care, if you're investing in your mission, you know, we only have so much energy. If you do have the energy to be invested more than relationship lovingly, where you're still loving yourself, you still have space for yourself, and you can show up respectfully and communicatively with all other beings involved, then beautiful.
Right?
Like, do the thing that lights you up. But if you are opening up your relationship because you can't be with yourself, and so you need another person in your stratosphere to distract you from yourself, then that would be something to look at.
Yes. Oh, hit it on the nail right there. Brandon, who we just meditated with, I green-lighted moving past my struggles with disease and drug abuse by red lighting renounce habits. I love how you framed that. Yeah, it's right there.
Renounceable habits.
Renounceable habits.
Yeah.
Right? I like how you said I green-lighted. So you gave yourself the go to move past through what your red lights were, right? Which are things and habits that were not working for you. Andro Mita says, never lead to committed relationships. Friendships that I have where we both have crossed the line and shared ourselves with one another. So are you saying, in your experience, never actually getting to a title commit? Oh, I see.
My best romantic connections have been the connections made on the foundation of friendship that never led to committed relationships. Friendships that I have where we both have crossed the line and shared ourselves with one another, never actually getting into a titled, committed relationship with one another.
I see what you're saying. And see, that's the thing. You're sharing your experience, right? And I love how you brought up, like, are you only opening up to like these open relationships or relationships in general because you can't be with yourself? Then that is something to look at. right? So,
And to your point, Andromeda, I feel this too. There's something happens when we start to label and define things.
Yeah.
And it's everyone has a different way with this.
Yes.
Sometimes that brings on a feeling of pressure, and like you're trying to like get someone to be something for you, or you feel like someone needs you to be this now because you're their boyfriend or you're their girlfriend.
Yes.
And so having the title feels unsupportive, where other people feel a really deep connection to a commitment, and it makes them feel safer to like really connect in a deeper way, to have the like, we are partners, we are choosing to be in this relationship with one another. So different strokes.
It seems that the most committed of relationships always seem to be completely ended when the romance ends. And seeing that brings up another thing. How do you keep the romance going? Like I'm hearing, if I'm, I could be wrong or, whatnot, but it seems that like from your experience, it's the romance is there in the beginning. And then to kind of avoid getting to this place where like you put this title on something, you just experience the romance ending. So that's a question. How do you keep the romance going? And I feel like that's a big question for a lot of relationships, especially long term, whether you like it came to like a marriage or whatnot, right? You have kids or whatnot. And then it's just like, there was a lot of romance in the beginning. Like, what happened to that? The only thing that's coming, because I'm in a committed partnership, is that the space, right? Because to be romantic, that comes with an idea, and then the expression of love. Like, to me, like my kind of romance is not big. You don't need to take me out on a grand date, buy me freaking roses, chocolate. The whole traditional look of commercialized, how you see in the media. Like, that's not my way of being romantic. My way of being romantic is like sharing love and presence with one another, and like that's romantic to me. Just I'm big on like physical affection, so like little kissies or like snuggles. That's romantic to me.
Yeah.
And I get that every day. I get that every day. There's no way that I would be receiving that or being able to give that if I wasn't feeling good about me. If you don't feel good about you, do you feel like, given this, like, or any romantic idea that you have in your head, or like the expression of love, like, would you be able to truly do that every day consistently? Right? So when your relationship goes out with romance for a while, then it starts to feel dull. So it depends on what you mean by romance. And then two, do you have the space to be romantic? Do you have the space to be loving for another person, with another person consistently? Where does it die off?
Well, this makes me think, and the space is so amazingly important, about how, remember I was telling you, Quinn, that yesterday I was having a low day.
Yes, we were expressing this to each other.
Yeah, we both were actually having low days, and we were voice texting about it. And so my life felt like a problem. My whole life, I felt like I needed to change everything about my life. Whereas today I feel good, my energy's back. I was having a low energy day. Today my energy's back, I feel good, I feel content, I'm happy with where I am. And so depending on how we're feeling inside of our own bodies, inside of our own experiences, is going to be the filter that we're projecting onto our relationships. So if we're feeling low and lacking and depleted, we're going to look at our relationships and be like, I'm not getting enough. This isn't feeling good. I'm not, ugh. But if we're recharged and replenished and we've just taken great care of ourselves, then we get to come to the relationship from that place of energy. Same with the person that you're with. So this is another green light. This is the green light thing. It's like, does your person have practices that keep their energy flowing? Do they know how to replenish themselves? Do they know how to take care of themselves, so that when you come together, you're bringing each other good energy?
Yeah, good energy, not expecting energy. I remember we talked about this before too, right? Like the picture of like, okay, your partner came home from work, and then you're already waiting to be loved on from them when they just came home from work.
They're depleted.
Yeah, they're probably meeting you. So it's like, so I love that. Like, what are your daily practices to keep up with like the good energy, the flow, so you can share those good loving.
And that's what keeps the romance going,
exactly.
Right? Is when you keep shining your light into the relationship. and you're not needing someone to be your light for you.
Yes. Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Rudy, what would you say to someone who's giving up on the idea of finding love because they've had it, oh, they haven't had it or received it? I mean, they've never received love or had it. Yes. You
Come
know,
to love school.
Come to love school. This is her response. This is what she's creating. If you click on her site, you will see that love school is available.
$36 a month.
$36
for
a
4
month.
months.
Okay.
It's affordable.
Yeah. There you go. What would you say to someone? Yeah. The way it's everything that we've kind of mentioned before. We crave these relationships. If we're giving up on it, that's okay. You know, but let's just not say, oh, like it's over. That maybe we can put that, because this is what I did. I was so tired of not receiving it. And I was so hurt from that experience and disappointed with my experiences with love, with others, that I put it to the side and I said, you know what? I'm going to learn what it means to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my question to you, Rudy. Have you experienced what it actually looks like to love yourself?
Yes.
Question mark. Because there's all these areas to explore.
Gateway.
That's the gateway. So yeah, we're leaving it with a question.
Love school,
and she has love school. Yes, we have a workshop.
We can support you in cultivating your self-love so that you can feel open to love.
Yes, we meet up once a month. We have one coming up this Tuesday. It's called Unblocking Your Flow, right? And love is involved in that flow, right? When there's love in the air, as they say. But guess what? Like, we need the space. We need the practices to be able to feel the love from within here, right? We feel like being created and we can share with others. Yeah. So we hear you, Rudy, and we feel that. We feel that. Like, how many of us have been so disappointed with love that we're like, fuck it, which is okay, right? And
we lose hope.
Yeah, we lose hope. And guess what? There's other areas to explore, like yourself. Let's tune into ourselves, right? We can put relationships on the side. There's a gazillion people out there. That opportunity is not lost. That's what I want to say to you. You know, and for the time being, let's heal. Can we heal?
Exactly.
Can we dive deeper into ourselves? I'm loving this discussion. Thank you, Andromeda. Oh, you said a lot here. Drive as humans. I'm not saying it's absolutely, but it almost seems like it is. Overall, monogamy seems to be a product of an ego rather than biology. I'm loving this discussion. And you see, like, we all have our own different human
I've heard the same thing, that polyamory is an egoic, you know, like we all have associations with these labels of how to do a relationship, and we all have different needs.
Yes.
And knowing what your needs are, knowing what your preferences are so important, because then you can communicate those to others right off the bat.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And if someone is not for it, then they're not in alignment.
Yes, that's not a green light for you.
It's not a green light. If you need to be open in your relationships, then you need to be open in your relationships, and you get to have that, and you get to lead with that.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for being here, everybody. Brandon says, I feel self-love and relationships must be on the same frequency. Loving one as one loves others. Yes. Yes. Right? Like, basically, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Self-love gives so many answers for ourselves. And it could be like the practice that guides you to where you need to be, and really being able to recognize who's a green light for you and not be blindsided, like where they're a green light, but then all of a sudden they're red when shit hits the fan. So how would we wrap up this talk, Hallie? What is your takeaway from this conversation?
Well, I love all the engagement. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in. It's been really fun to be with your but yeah, I think that the conclusive thing is that, like, self-love is going to get you where you need to go, and you don't need to necessarily even know where you need to go. But if you dedicate yourself to practices that support you and help you to feel vital and feel good in your body, mind, and heart and soul, then you're going to attract energies that are in alignment with that, and you're going to have more peace in your alone time. So while you're waiting for love or waiting to be open to love again, you're just going to have a more enjoyable experience.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
What about you?
Oh, geez. Let's take a look at what is a red light for us so that we can recognize it. Ooh. So we can recognize it in other people. Let's recognize the green lights in ourselves so we can recognize it in other people. Like that's like the best filter. And then just attaching to, like, adding on what you said, like self-love has been giving me the answers that I need. Anytime when I feel bad or I need answers, I go to my self-love practice, and then there I am. Like, we have everything that we need. I know that's so cliche that people say. It is in the self-love practice that you will affirm that answer for you, that clarity for you, so that we can navigate and really be empowered with these tools, these life practices to help us heal and process the pain out through us and out. So it doesn't take a hold of us.
Totally.
Yeah.
If you hear the word self-love and you're like, yeah, that sounds great in theory, but I have no fucking idea like how to go about all that, then you should really take our workshop.
Yes.
Because that's what they're for. They're really to help you condition yourself to love on yourself, and we do it in 1,000 different ways because we're very creative, especially together.
So once again, hi everyone on Instagram and anyone on HAPS and everyone on Facebook, but more so on HAPS. Make sure you follow Self Love Exodus, because that is where we will be with our lives, specifically with HAPS.
Yeah, and follow us on Instagram too if you're on HAPS.
Yes.
Self Love Exodus.
Self Love Exodus. And if you go to our website, selfloveexodus.com, you will see our workshop that's coming up. We do it once a month. And then we have weekly meditation sessions, donation-based, every Thursday. So we're here to support you fully. And we will see you all next week. And then, Alex, we see you. We got to get going, but please connect with us if you need support in your self-love journey. All right.
Yes.
All right. Andromeda, thanks for tuning in. We'll respond back in the comments, but we got to go.
Bye.
All right. Bye.